Hello there, my very good friends, and a warm welcoming good afternoon to you. On this video, we're going to tell you why WWE's relationship with Fox soured a couple of years ago.
Oh, good. AEW's all-in attendance has been revealed.
Oh, good. AEW has removed wins and losses.
And more details on Jamie Hayter's injury. I'm Adam Wilborn.
Which is all bad. It's horrendous. I'm Andy, yes. Hello.
This is the after news.
All right, let's talk about WWE, then we'll talk about some AEW stuff. Let's go over this report from Sean Rossap of Fightful, talking about something that maybe caused the WWE-Fox relationship to maybe sour a little bit a couple of years ago.
Who could it be? Who could it be?
Well, gee whiz, I wonder who could have caused such a thing. I'll give you one guess. Yeah, it's that guy. So, SmackDown's on the verge of leaving Fox. Mm-hmm. As of next week, it's going to be on USA until the end of the year, and then it's going to Netflix in 2025, of course. The 4-year, 5-year, however long it's been, that TV deal has elapsed. I think the story is that Fox chose not to match the bid, or no, they were outbid or something like that. They didn't just drop it outright. No. They didn't just get rid of it and go, I don't want this anymore. Although there's always been talk of like, hey, maybe they were expecting a little bit more or whatever. Who knows? But this is a pretty interesting quote from Sean Rossap. I'm going to read the exact quote, so don't muddle anything up with my stupid mouth. He believes that Fox are indifferent to WWE at this moment. Says he heard from people in Fox recently who said, well, they aren't tanking the shows or anything, they are still giving us good shows, but they didn't feel like that in 2020 and 2021.
Understandably.
Yeah. They felt, especially under Vince McMahon, some of the last days of that, or some of the last years of that he was not giving them a lot of what they've been told. Some of it was chalked up to COVID. COVID was a major part of souring some of the views from people at Fox. Now, I will say this, since the last couple of years, especially the last year and a half, people that I've talked to there have a more positive disposition regarding things than they did then. So, shockingly, Vince McMahon soured something.
Yeah, I will say this. I'll be nice initially, and then I'll go two-footed. Understandable. I think every TV show or thing was obviously affected by the pandemic, and everyone had to adapt and did so in their own unique ways with a complete lack of audience in arenas, from UFC to WWE to everyone else, etc., etc. You go back and look at like old episodes of Match of the Day now, and it's so weird that you can just like hear managers shouting from the touchlines. Anyway, so that is one aspect of it. It also would be really interesting if for the 5 years that they were with, 4 or 5 years that they were with Fox, if Triple H had been in charge, producing the stuff that he has been recently, or say recently, last few years basically, I think we'd be having a very different conversation. I'm not sure whether they'd still be staying on Fox, but I think they would be a lot happier with what was produced. Because we lived through it. It feels like a thankfully distant memory now, but it was an absolute, sorry Ryan, show under Vince McMahon. And it was so blatant, they'd just sort of dog it a little bit. Nothing had really happened, or stuff had happened, it'd never get followed up on. Someone would get a push one week, then they'd be buried the next, right? And then when people were like, I'm not going to watch this anymore, it sucks, right? He's putting dog food on Roman Reigns. What the hell's this, right? Compare that to how he's received now, for example. I know that's taken a bit of time, but come on, dog food, right? And people coming out in dog costumes. Anyway, you had all that, and then whenever the ratings, you'd be like, this is really concerning for what presumably Fox were expecting. They just go, just have a Legend show up for 1 week, and the ratings would go, because people would be like, oh, Legend's here, and then they'd be like, oh, he's not going to be out next week, I'm not going to watch anymore. It was so blatant, understandable that Fox were like, geez, especially if you haven't been as closely associated with Vince's WWE as many other networks were, where they just sort of go, it's par for the course, but it's reliable and what have you. Fox, especially like you look at that opening show, and that was all over the place. But you had like Becky Lynch at the top of her game. You had The Rock showing up. They did big bombastic stuff, and then it was just like, right, well that's done. Who cares now? It was just crap.
Yeah, the last few years of Vince in particular, I mean, various points throughout the last 20 years, really. But the last few years in particular, there was very little to reward your investment on any level, especially during the 2021, the pandemic era. Obviously, very difficult circumstances. They did the Thunderdome, they did the Performance Center, they did various different methods. But you still had dumb stuff, like the Viking Raiders getting eaten by a bin monster.
Yes. It just never followed up, and it was... he just would turn up and make stuff up.
There was no follow-up on the monster.
No,
yeah.
There's no follow-up on anything.
Yeah.
He'd just turn up and go, I think we should push this guy. Sorry, Vince, you buried him. He got beaten in 10 seconds last week. Don't care. Probably beats the world champion this week.
Yeah.
So I don't remember that, so the fans probably won't.
So I can understand why that may have soured Fox's perception of WWE. But look, WWE is in a tremendous business place at the moment. Like, you can't say anything.
Yeah, oh no, we're going to Netflix.
Yeah, oh, what a shame. Oh dear. They're richer than ever. They're more successful financially than ever. TV ratings are absolutely fine. Hey, look, it's you cannot, whatever you think of the product, you cannot look at their business in 2024 and go, that's bad.
Yeah, and as with everything, we're about to talk about AEW, ladies and gentlemen, TV deals really don't affect you. So long as your favourite wrestling, or even for wrestling you hate, so long as wrestling remains somewhere it can be seen, that's fine, right? Yeah. Whether they get a quid or £1 billion, it really doesn't affect you because both companies are going to be fine, probably forever.
Yeah, this is it. It's like, it's cool to be interested in this stuff. I'm interested in this stuff. I like this stuff. But so much of it is just weaponized for people's culture wars these days, and it's boring.
Speaking of which, Andy...
Here we go!
AEW's all-in attendance has been revealed. Right. This feels like a really bad flashback to last year. Right. Attendance is people who went in to watch the show.
Turnstile count.
Exactly. Not tickets sold. So both of these things can be correct. Tony Khan, when he said about selling over 50,000 tickets, that's true. The amount of people who walked through the turnstiles, according to WrestleNomics, who for some reason have also had to bat back criticism of their coverage of all this.
I'll talk about that in a minute.
Anyway, revealed that a representative of Brent Council, but here they are back again, said the turnstile count was 46,476. Okay? AEW's biggest event of the year, like I said. Tony Khan tweeted about it being over 50,000 tickets, but that's tickets sold, not people who attended, whatever, right? We also saw people saying, right, okay, only 46,476 people. Well, I mean, what's that? I mean, I've been at Wembley Stadium for a lot less people in attendance in the Johnson's Paint Trophy final. I mean, it was equally as a great a day. Bryan Danielson won the world title when we were there, and Chesterfield beat Swindon to win the JPT.
Comparable.
Yes, exactly. But Dizzy Hogan, please God, no relation, tweeted Dave Meltzer saying, Giant gate, but with around, 70 wrestlers, even more backstage personnel. How much did AEW gross? I mean, how much was it? Like $5? Like, did they even have enough money for the tube home? Dave Meltzer clapped back, just under $15 million. So they're probably pretty happy with all that.
Yeah.
But apparently, I went on to be honest, Andy, this was fantastic, because as I said to you before we started recording, I opened my phone last night and I thought, here I go into Twitter half an hour before bed, and then I can't sleep because I'm angry about something I've read. Opened it up, people were arguing about this, and I went, I don't need to look at Twitter tonight. I went to bed.
This is the thing. WrestleNomics, Brandon Thurston, just tweeted the number. And immediately people are like losing their heads.
Why don't you share WWE's attendances? And he just went, there it is.
Yeah,
there's WrestleMania.
Someone went at him and was like, you are biased because you never do this for WWE. And then he shared 10 articles.
I like the fact that they have to have that automatic thing where I think it's if a YouTube video pops over 1 million, they say, it's done over 1 million, and then it says, this is just automatically generated, we're not promoting AEW, we're not promoting WWE, we just do flipping stats,
it's just guys. It's just numbers. WrestleTix had to turn off their replies because people were just getting crazy in them on Twitter and stuff like that. You get an insane... Look, first of all, I think that trying to paint 46,000 plus as anything other than a good, successful day at the office is very silly.
For a return to Wembley Stadium, where they were last year.
Exactly. It's a repeat of the previous year's show. Of course, it's going to do a bit less. It's a great number, and they've made 15 million?
15 million, yeah.
You can't paint that as anything other than a huge success for the company. Look, it's good. It's really, really positive.
They wouldn't be coming back. I know they're not doing All In here next year, but they are in 2026. They're doing Forbidden Door. They're not guess British fans are tired of AEW.
Yeah, see you later, boys. So that's the first part of it. The second part of it is this stuff is just getting really insane, right? This stuff is getting completely unhinged because I believe that when Tony Khan said to be AEW is to be under constant attack, I believe he was 100% correct, right? Like, that company I believe, and I've said this several times, I think this is the most overanalyzed and overly scrutinized wrestling company ever. And I'm 36, I've seen a few wrestling companies. That being said, that kind of approach, and they get bombarded by dumbasses all day. It's 2024.
Yeah.
Some people have maybe taken that quote a little bit too much to heart now, and now conflate literally any comment about AEW as an attack. So when Brandon Thurston comes out and puts a number out, people are like, "Well, but WWE," and it's like, we are losing our way. We're losing our way when it comes to this stuff. Like, every single thing is weaponized for some straw man argument or some kind of culture war, and it's very, very difficult to be in the building. I'm just going to call both sides out. I think you're all insane.
Look, and I'm just going to post memes for the most part.
Yeah. I might just get into that market. Maybe just post funny pictures of Tomohiro Ishii.
I try and avoid, for the most part, posting any sort of opinion, because someone's going to be like,
yeah.
"Well, you dickhead." I was like, what?
So, big shout out to the people out there who are not completely nuts with this stuff.
Shout out to Brandon Thurston, who works really, and all the guys at WrestleNomics who work really hard on getting these sorts of things to be told, "I hate you for doing your job."
Yeah, it's like post the WWE profit figure. You never do this for AEW. It's just like,
Jesus,
what's going on? We are losing our way.
I'm just really glad, Andy, that in a social media age, the right guys can control the Twitter, so nothing can go bad on there.
Safe pair of hands.
Jesus Christ.
Right.
Oh God, I just remember what our next story is now.
So I'm going to criticize AEW now.
I'm enjoying
because
this.
I don't like this. AEW's removed the win-loss records from the website.
Apparently wins and losses don't matter anymore.
Maybe we should have listened to Road Dogg after all.
Never listen to him. So actually, that intro that you used to do was goated. I'll give him that.
Yeah, it was a one-trick pony, wasn't it? A pony, like a little horse, just a little horse, from Shetland, preferably.
Smooth AF, Tony, you absolute beg.
Yeah, it was give me a job now, Chief. But yeah, they've removed the wins and losses. If you go on the website, you can't see my phone right now, but maybe Ryan will put the roster on the screen right now or something like that. Yeah, they're just not there anymore. Which raises eyebrows. Are we going to get to Dynamite tonight and they won't have it on the lower thirds and stuff?
I hope not.
And look, on the surface, right, it's just a little thing, right? It's they've taken away wins and losses or whatever. But to me, it's disappointing because it's like stripping away another little flake of the identity, right? So, the rankings reboot didn't...
Less than a week?
Yeah, and then they did another one like a month later. And it was like they never committed to it, they never followed through. I liked the rankings because they gave the booking structure and they held the booker accountable. It was a case of, why is this wrestler getting a title shot, someone might ask. And then you go, well, they've won 6 matches in a row and they are number 2 in the rankings or whatever. It meant that you couldn't just get away with throwing someone into something and it makes no logical win-loss sense. I like that stuff. I like the wins and losses being displayed because it makes it feel a bit more like a real sport and a real competition. So if they're stripping away with that entirely, to me that's quite disappointing because I like the identity of AEW as a more sport-based type presentation, but it does feel like we've moved away from that. And to me, that's disappointing. To you, it might be a good thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I know they don't have Dark or Dark Elevation now to sort of help manipulate those numbers and what have you. But yeah, just... This is, like you say, it's not necessarily like, no, I used to love my Wednesday mornings going to check everyone's win-loss record on the AEW website, but it was, like you say, it's emblematic of something that I thought was a real strong point for AEW when it launched. I talked a lot about the fact that you don't have to necessarily have the person who's won the most matches, because then you're going to be like, oh God, we've got this new person and they have to win 6 matches back-to-back on Dark to get anywhere near a title shot. I always read it a bit like UFC, of like, okay, well, as long as you're sort of in the top 10 of the rankings, that merits saying, okay, well, we're going to have number 3 face number 8, and then that can affect how people's standings are.
Yeah.
Or if you're in the top few, so long as you've got a decent amount of wins or a decent sort of undefeated streak, you can make a case at least, and you can do that with promos or whatever to set up a title match. This is just, I'm really fascinated, you know what, to find out what Michael Sidgwick, huge obviously AEW fan, wrote a book about him, thinks about all this, and I'll ask him about it on the Dynamite Preview podcast a little bit later on today.
Yeah, I agree with everything you've said, really. It was just a little thing that I enjoyed, and if it's not going to be a thing anymore, I think that's a shame. They were power rankings. It wasn't just a simple case of, hey, if you beat 8 jobbers. It's like, the situation was beating, say, the person who's number 3, let's say Orange Cassidy. That means more than beating Serpentico, who's lost 57 matches this year. So they were weighted and stuff. I thought they were implemented quite well, honestly, within the first year or two of the promotion. And I'm sad that the rankings aren't there anymore, and I'll be sad if we get rid of wins and losses altogether.
That story where it was like, oh, cool, so Hangman Page is obviously going to fight for the title next, and he had that one loss against Brian Cage, I think it was. And suddenly you were like, he's out of the title match as a result of that. It's a shame we've lost things like that. But like I say, I'll ask the Dadleys about it on the podcast later on today. Right. Some good news wrapped in some bad news now. The good news, Jamie Hayter is back. Fantastic to see her back on telly. Huge pap, obviously, when she turned up at All In at Wembley. The bad news, what she's had to go through. We've had a lot of these stories recently. Britt Baker, Adam Cole, the two big ones that stick out in my head, where you think like, okay, you're injured, but then you'll get better, and then you'll go back to wrestling and being adored by fans. It's not a bad life, is it? Well, it is sometimes when you find out about what the wrestlers have to go through to get back into the ring, if they even want to, as Jamie Hayter sort of got into here. She was chatting to Renee Paquette about what happened to her, and we've just sort of been sat here for the last year or so going, she's injured, she'll come back, she'll do something with Britt or whoever, and she'll be get a great reaction in London. Talking to Renee Paquette, she revealed she had 2 completely herniated discs in her back, which already sounds terrible, and then when she gets into it, it gets even worse. I wasn't even aware, says Hayter, of the injury until it was really bad. I couldn't walk. I couldn't even stand up straight. My body was at an angle. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't laugh. I couldn't sneeze. I couldn't cough. I couldn't sit down. I couldn't stand in the shower. I couldn't lay down on my back. I couldn't really do anything. I thought it was sciatica at first. She goes on, it's worth checking out this whole thing, it's really fascinating stuff. Goes on to talk about potentially thinking, do I still want to wrestle anymore if I have to go through something like this to get back into it? Understandable, really. Like, I don't know if I have like 2 nights of bad sleep, I'm just miserable. Imagine then not being like, oh, I'm a bit tired, but I can't stand, oh, cool, life's ruined. Awful. I was in pain constantly, Hayter says. It was not a fun injury. I was bedbound for months, which sounds fun, sitting in bed for months, but when you actually live it, it's awful. I couldn't do anything. I would watch stuff on my phone, lay in bed and read some books, but when the pain subsided, I started moving again. For me personally, being physical is my enjoyment. That is what I do best, and basically she was prevented from doing that for months at a time. And she's presumably watching. And maybe she's not. Maybe she's like, you know what, I can't watch this because I want to be there doing this. I'm happy for my mates that are getting really successful off the back of this. But God, it must be like, you know, when you're not able to do something, do you really want to expose yourself to other people doing that thing that you love? Look, the bottom line is, she's better now, she's back. Give her all the love and support, obviously. Send love and support to anyone else who's injured right now, because you don't know what they're going through. But my God, this sounds like an absolute nightmare, Andy.
We always knew it had to be bad because she was, not just because she was gone for a long time, but because there was no updates. There was nothing on Jamie throughout the whole situation, and that's... it's a private matter. I respect that 100%. You know, very difficult battles these people go through to entertain us, and when that's taken away, and her physical problem sounds really intense, it no doubt takes an immense mental toll as well. So I have all the respect in the world for her for battling through this, for coming out on the other side, for getting back to the thing that she does best, and she's a sensational professional wrestler.
Really good.
This sounds like a living hell. This sounds like a living nightmare. So I'm really glad she's through it. And I think Jamie Hayter's great. I've always thought she was great. From the moment she first rocked up in like 2019, I want to say, as like a guest wrestler, and she was like talking smack to the crowd. She looked completely different. She had black hair. She was like talking smack to the crowd and stuff, and I was like, She's got there's something special about her.
Riho looked unbelievable.
Yeah, like she looked incredible. And the personality just shone through.
Yeah.
And then she re-debuted on Rampage with Britt Baker, and I was like, okay, here we go. And I think she was a great AEW Women's World Champion. I've no doubt she'll be that again.
Yeah.
She might even give Saraya a good match. That was mean, but hey, whatever. Yeah, I mean, she's great. Jamie's great.
Give me Jamie versus Mercedes, please.
Oh my goodness, Mercedes selling for that lariat. Jeezy peeps. One question, though, for Jamie Hayter. Please drop the reading list. I want to know what books Jamie Hayter was getting into. Stan Hansen, Lariat 101, perhaps?
Where's Wally?
Where's Wally?
Always a good read.
Yeah, little Stan Hansen book, a little Where's Wally, and then something like Crime and Punishment, War and Peace.
Yeah, exactly.
Just, glad she's back.
I like those choose your own adventure ones.
Yeah.
But I just cheat. It's like, do you want to go left or right? Turns out I wanted to go left anyway, so not bothered.
Killed by a goblin, so.
But yes, fantastic news she's back, but my word, what a ordeal she's gone through to get there. But glad she's back, that's the most important thing.
100%.
And she'll presumably be on Dynamite tonight.
Yes, sir.
Let us know your thoughts on everything discussed in the comments section below, as if you need that encouragement when we're talking about AEW All in Attendances. And if you want something else to watch, we did a morning news and it's available right here. Bye.
See you later.